Welcome to another edition of You and Me and Multiple Sclerosis. My name is Pam, and I've been living with multiple sclerosis for 37 years. It's been something over a month since my last video about my exercise program, and I don't know if any of you have been wondering whether I've been sticking with it or not, but the answer is yes, I have been. I am certainly not ready to run a triathlon yet. I don't know if I ever will be. But that's not really the goal. Let me talk to you a little bit today about just several things that I hope that you will keep in mind. If you begin your own exercise program, it will help you a lot if you keep these three things in mind. Well, the first thing, and most important in some ways, is you need to focus on what you really need. And I think that was a mistake I made with the initial list of exercises that I chose to work on. They're all good. No question about that. But do I need those all equally, at least in phase one? And as I looked at what I focused on, flexibility, balance, and strength, I realized that, yeah, mostly it's balance for me. My life and my tendency to fall is largely tied up in my balance or lack thereof. So the exercises that help me the most with balance are the ones that I'm going to focus on. Realizing, of course, that some flexibility is critical and some strength is critical to balance. So putting those in there where it's necessary or where it's useful, but not making those the main focus. I don't care if I ever bench press even 100 pounds. As long as I can cross the room without falling over, that would be my goal. I will show you here a list of the exercises that I have winnowed it down to. I've left out a lot of the ones where I either already felt very comfortable doing them or they didn't really seem to be adding very much to my feelings of confidence. And that really, I guess, maybe if you want to sum it up, that's what I'm aiming for, is to feel more confident in myself as I navigate through my life. Okay, you might remember I included this list when I first started, and as you can see here, I started back in December 20th, and this was the long list of exercises that I had just started with, that I had said I was going to do for the three types of functionality that I wanted to improve: balance, strength, flexibility. But you can see through the check marks that there were certain ones that I just pretty much chose not to do. I thought, well, this eyes closed thing. There were certain other ones that I just did not really find that gave me a lot of value for the time that I spent. So I, over time, just kind of stopped doing them. This particular sheet shows up through about mid-January. I just wanted you to notice here that my initial right leg was 2 seconds. That was the best that I could do. Left leg, forget it. And also notice how terrible my handwriting is these days. Thank you, MS. One more exciting attribute of my life with MS. And then here's the second page. And over time, you can see that I actually deleted some of the exercises out of my list because I wasn't doing them. They weren't adding any value to me. But I got very good at doing the ones that I had committed to the point where on the 6th of February I decided I finished the sheet. Should I make another sheet and do another, or am I at the point where this is a habit and I don't have to do it anymore? Well, I knew when it was time to quit doing the sheet, because when I first started, the sheet was important because what I looked forward to was making the little check marks more than the exercise. So I was willing to do the exercise just for the satisfaction of checking it off. But eventually, I got to the point where checking the boxes was just kind of annoying, like a waste of my time, because I just wanted to do the exercises and not bother with the check marks. So that was my clue that it was time to give it up. The second very important piece of this is that you need to make this a habit. Exercise, for most of us, is not the thing we most look forward to. It's not the thing we think about first when we wake up in the morning. But it's important to have a consistency about it so that we continue to build on whatever gains we might have had. I've noticed with my exercise program that I seemed to make a greater percentage gain in the early days of doing it than I did after it went on for a little bit. And I think that's pretty typical because what you're doing is you're starting that retraining process, but the real change takes time. So I have found a time in my day when exercise is just what I do. It's not really a question anymore of whether I feel like exercising. It's just what I do between this thing and this thing. I have a morning that is pretty well structured, and exercise fit very nicely into that. The other advantage of doing it in the morning was that I was still in my jammies, so my clothes were nice and loose fitting, which allowed me freedom of movement, and I was a lot more comfortable as I was exercising, and that's really very important. So I have my habit, and I've focused on the exercises that I think are most important. The third thing that you consider in your exercise program, if you're going to be a success, you need to expect that it's going to take time. It probably would take pretty much the same amount of time if you did not have multiple sclerosis, but you set yourself an exercise goal, like I'm going to run a marathon, or I'm going to climb X mountain, or I'm going to do whatever. It takes time to build up to that. So getting frustrated is really not your friend here. It's hard sometimes to not be frustrated, especially when we see other people who are able to do these things with seeming ease. It's not going to be easy for us necessarily, at least not right away. But what I have learned is that certain of the things that I've been working on, I am seeing slow but steady and promising progress. And I'll give you one example. In the beginning of this whole thing, standing on one foot just wasn't going to happen. That I'd lose my balance almost at once. But what I found over time is that if I practice it every single day, my brain and my body are starting to understand, okay, if you're going to stand on one foot, here's how you need to position yourself. Here's where your weight needs to be centered. Here's how you put your other foot. And actually, to start out with, what I've been doing is taking the foot that I'm not standing on and almost tucking it behind the leg that I'm using to support myself. I know that sounds a little weird, but it doesn't throw my weight off as much, and it's easier for me to stay on the one leg. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm breaking any records here, but I think my personal best was 12 seconds on my right leg, which is the stronger of my two legs. So I'm not going to be in the Guinness Book of Records over this, but it doesn't matter. In the beginning, I couldn't stand on one leg for even 2 seconds. So to get to 12 seconds, pretty exciting. I'm going to be honest, it really was. And as far as doing the exercises, closing my eyes, I don't even know whether that's something I want to worry about right now. The chances are not good that I'm going to be called upon to do something in real life with my eyes closed or in a pitch dark room. I can work my life around pretty well so that those circumstances don't happen. But I'm exercising for the kinds of situations that I might really encounter, understanding that I'm not going to get there right away. It's going to take time. There's a program that I wanted to share with you called Can Do Multiple Sclerosis, and this is their homepage. I'll put a link to the description box below. But they have an exercise program too, as you can see here. MS Moves with Mandy, and Mandy is a physical therapist who provides different suggestions for exercises that we can do, called Exercise Snacks. You can sign up for it, but I know also the videos are on YouTube, so I will put the link for that in the description box below. But I'd like to show you just a little snippet of one of them. They're all very short, and they focus on specific goals that you might have. If you have a symptom that you're trying to find an exercise that will help you deal with, they're very good for that.
Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm a physical therapist and multiple sclerosis certified specialist with Can Do Multiple Sclerosis. We got this really great question, and so we're going to address dizziness. Many times, dizziness is caused by a communication error between the visual system and the vestibular system in the inner ear. So what we're going to do today is some exercises that activate both systems and help them coordinate working together. So standing at a kitchen countertop, so you have something stable to hold on to, or if you have a corner, such as I have.
And she goes on and gives you the exercise. And not to tease her, I didn't give you the meat of it, did I? But I hope I got you interested enough that you'll go check her out. They're actually really short, and it's easy to go through a few of them, or you can scroll to the one that is pertinent to you. If you don't, for example, have foot drop, you may not need the foot drop stretch exercise, but if something else has been a concern of yours, they may very well have an exercise that will help you. I know I'm harping a lot on this, but I have found that my life is a lot more limited, not even so much because of my actual limitations, but because of my fear that comes out as a result of these limitations. I am so concerned about my balance and the problems that I have had that I oftentimes won't even try something or do something or go to a certain place because I'm afraid that I'm going to fall or I'm going to stumble, whatever. I just don't want to do it. There's partly a fear of getting hurt, but there's also the fear, not fear so much, but the aversion to having my disability on showcase, for everyone to see. To have to make the excuse, oh, well, I'm just klutzy that way. I have multiple sclerosis. What do you expect? I don't really like that, and I would bet that most of you don't either. As much as we can, we try to just do activities and live our lives without drawing a lot of attention to ourselves. And for me, that often means that I just choose not to do certain things. But I've realized that's pretty limiting. So I'm working on this balance thing. I'm hoping that it improves. I'm already seeing that it's improving a little bit, and that's very, very encouraging. And I want to encourage you as well. Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any websites or exercise regimens that you particularly like? Is there anything else you want to share? Do you have any comments about what I've said? Let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. But that's all I have for today, so take care, and I will see you again in my next video.